Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Money Heist Season 5. So happy to finally be talking about this show, about this season. And before we get into it, please make sure to like the video. Please make sure to subscribe if you like keeping up with all the new TV shows, all the new movies. We talk about all this stuff here, but let's go right into Money Heist. I'm going to talk about Season 1 through 4 first, give my thoughts on that, and then we'll go ahead and check out 5. So no joke, I just spent the last 5 to 6 days binging all of Money Heist. This was a harder binge because each episode's kind of like 45 to like 50 minutes, you know. One of them goes into like the hour mark, and there's about like 13 episodes in the first season. The rest are 9, and then 8, then 8, and then 5 right now for Season 5. But I mean, thankfully the show is so good that it never seemed tedious to watch, even though it is a really hard binge, especially to cut, you know, into like 5 days. I was able to do it. I watched like 1 season per day. I took a break on one of those days. But so Money Heist is a story about these criminals who, you know, it's kind of just what the title says. They go and they plan a heist, and they plan to rob the Mint of Spain, which is where they make all the money. They print it, and they plan to try and get 2.5 billion euros, the biggest heist ever. So season 1 felt like a mix of, it starts out kind of like GTA Online Heist. You know, they do a lot of planning, you know, then they try to like infiltrate the actual bank, which would kind of felt like Ocean's 11 vibe, you know. And then once they get into the bank, they have like this hostage situation, and it sort of feels like you've ever seen Dog Day Afternoon with Al Pacino. Fantastic movie. Kind of feels like that. It's like a chess game with the criminals and the police. It's a lot of like negotiating terms between the police and the criminals, you know, like they don't know if they want to go in yet, like how they're going to do this. Really cool dynamic. I just like, that's why I think I love season 1 the most so far, just because it's still everything just felt new. You know, I never really watched like something like this. And I should probably say this right away. It's in a different language. It's in Spanish. Kind of like a Spain dialect to it. That's going to throw a lot of people off right away. I mean, listen, the subtitles, I know it can be a little bit scary, it can be a little bit annoying, tedious to watch. You know, not everyone has time to just like invest so much into like reading, and a lot of people just want to throw TV shows on just to get their mind off everything, and not something that they have to focus on. I get that. But Money Heist is something really special, really cool. I think it is worth it. And it's kind of like what Bong Joon-ho says at the Oscars, like, don't let subtitles stop you from watching it. You know, it's just like that 1-inch barrier, and it will stop you from watching something that could be really great. And I think that applies here. I think the show is so good, and season 1 was just really cool. Like I said, it was new. I love the whole like inspector character. She's like the one who negotiates all the terms. She has kind of like this romance with the professor, like the head of the heist gang. Really cool dynamic there. One of my favorite like aspects of the show. So yeah, season 1 was really good. Season 2, going into it, I was a little bit skeptical because I was like, how are they gonna make this show like still engaging when it's set like in the same setting? The season 2 was still the same conflict, still the same setting. Like some things have changed, but not much. And I never really seen a show where everything takes place in one location. Like for movies, I have, but at least for movies, you know, it's like an hour and a half to like 2 hours, so it's bearable. When you're putting in like hours and 6-8 hours into a show, and you're like all in just in one setting in season 1 and 2, I was just skeptical to see like how they were actually going to do that, how they're going to pull it off. And you know, they do it so well. It's still so engaging. You know, they're able to break it up with flashbacks, you know, of how they came about here and there. A couple of tropes that they get into that I noticed is that, like one thing that I guess isn't necessarily like a trope, but just something I noticed I didn't really like, is that they kind of lost my trust with like big moments early on. Like there'd be a lot of episodes where it would end where like you thought someone got shot and died, or like they're pulling guns on each other, and you kind of are like at first you're like excited and you're like, oh my god, this is like nuts, this is crazy, like oh my god, this person just died. And then like the next episode would start, and like that person like would be alive because they didn't actually shoot him or her, or like they would just patch him up really quick. And they kind of like lost my trust because it would happen so many times during season 1 where like I was like, I kind of just knew like, okay, this person didn't actually get shot, this person didn't actually die. Like they're making it seem like they did, like a cliffhanger at the end, but I know the next episode is going to start and like they're going to be alive, you know. And most of the time that's what it was like. So that was just one thing I didn't necessarily like. But that being said, like once season 3 and 4 starts, like they kind of break all their own rules. Like there's times where I'm like, oh, this person definitely didn't die, or this person didn't get shot, and then, like they did, and like I was like, holy shit, like they're breaking their own rules, making it a little bit different. Really cool. They're adapting. They're not making it like this cut and paste kind of story. They're not just giving us the same setting, same story. But the best thing about this show is that there is literally no filler episodes. There was no episode I disliked, nothing that made me seem like, oh, this was just here just for whatever. Something important happens in every single episode, and it's just a testament to the writing people that wrote this show. Just really great writing. The character development is on a different level than I've, you know, only really compare it to maybe like the big ones like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Sopranos. stuff like that. Like the character development's so good here. I actually had a sense of care for every single character, good or bad. They did a great job at, you know, just making us care for these characters. So overall, my thoughts season 2 is that it did feel like repetitive here and there, like slightly. Maybe that's just because of the same setting and stuff like that. But I still think it was just as good as 1, probably. Maybe I just say 1 is a little bit better. But thankfully, season 3, they starts out and they're all like on vacation. Sort of spoiler alert, you know. But it's different. It's a whole different sort of like setting vibe. Rio gets captured, one of the characters. And now the whole point of season 3 is to go and do another heist to try and get Rio back, kind of like more negotiating. So this had a very different feel. Instead of like, you know, GT Online Ocean's 11 vibes, even though it still does have Ocean's 11 a little bit, this is more like V for Vendetta vibes. You know, it's kind of like anti-establishment. The people now like the criminals a lot, like they want to be on their side. And that was sort of the whole vibe I got in the beginning of season 3. So I like how this season was a little bit more fun than the rest. You know, the music was really good. Like I said, they break their own tropes. They kind of like do their own things. This feels like a lot more high stakes, especially in season 4. But season 3 I thought was good. You know, it's like, it's different, it's new, it's sort of like different but similar in a way. They're still doing a heist. It's still like in like the Spanish bank looking place. They're still doing hostages, still negotiating with the criminals, but it's different enough to where it's like they bring in all these new characters. And the stories are different, more revelations, the flashbacks. I don't know. It's just they were able to somehow pull it off to where it's still engaging. Like I don't know how they did it, but it's still like so much fun, still so interesting, still so good. At this point in the show, this is where I actually started to like feel like these characters were actually family. Like you know how when Vin Diesel says like that he's got family and the Fast and Furious movies, like, and they're all sitting around the table at the end of the movie and they're all like, hey, family. Like, and you don't really believe it that much, but you're like, okay, yeah, nice. We've been with these characters for years, like it works. For this show, they actually feel like a family. Like, even though they're not, when they call each other, like, brother and sister, like, I feel it. That's a testament to the actors, to, like, the writing, to everything. Like, the way that these characters have been through so much and we've been on the journey with them. And just how, like, the dialogue and everything they say is so good. And, like, I actually have, like, favorite characters in this. And, like I said, they actually feel like a family. And that's something that I haven't had, like, in so long, with, especially with the show. Just having, like, this deep sense of care for, like, every single character. So I would say my only negative for season 3 is that I did feel like the inspector from the first 2 seasons, Lisbon, I did feel like she was a little bit underutilized in season 3, just because, you know, I really did love her whole character arc in the first 2 seasons, and she was one of my favorite like aspects of the show. So the fact that in 3 they don't use her as much, like she's still there obviously, but I was kind of upset they didn't use her as much. But in season 4 they use her a lot. Season 4 it's also the same setting, also going into it like a little bit skeptical because it's the same setting, but it's just as engaging. They bumped the intensity up super high. They killed off my favorite character. I won't say who, but oh my god, left me devastated. Like I said, they just, you know, they're able to somehow keep me invested still this whole time. So this left me itching for season 5. Season 5 stars just came out yesterday. And yeah, it's still in the same setting. So the first 2 seasons were in the same setting, right? I thought maybe 3 and 4 would also be in the same setting, then 5, maybe they switch it up. But no, the beginning of 5 is still like the same setting. But they're able to break it up with like these flashbacks of Berlin, who, spoiler alert, dies in the first season. And so this is why like I didn't really care for the Berlin scenes. Like that's my only negative. Like I only really have like 1 negative for each season maybe. Except for like maybe the first, second one, I like those a lot. But in season 5, we get these flashbacks of Berlin, and I just didn't like know like what the point of these scenes were. Like, you know, like he's dead already. Like I'm like, okay, like they're trying to break it up with these flashbacks, but I just didn't really care that much. So that was my only negative, was the Berlin scenes. I wasn't as engaged in those, even though they were good, they were fine. It wasn't something that I was like looking forward to watching. Another thing I really liked about this show is that really for every episode, it kind of like keeps me invested for like all of it. And then towards the last few minutes, like just a bunch of shit would just start happening, you know, and having like grip my seat. I really love that about the show. Season 5 ends on such a sad note. Oh my god. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So, oh my, it had me like almost like screaming at my TV, you know. They kind of like told us throughout the whole episode like who it was going to be. But the fact that they were able to make me feel like so much for these characters is just like such a testament to the show. Like, please go and watch it if you haven't already. So I don't know if I should really give a rating yet for season 5. Because it's not over yet. It's somewhere like, I'd rate it like around the same rating as like the other seasons so far. You know, they're all kind of like on the same tier. No season's bad. No season's like really, really, really good. Like, I wouldn't put this show like on like the Breaking Bad, Sopranos tier for me. But I would say it's definitely a top 10 Netflix show, like Netflix original show. I'd say it would probably break my top 5 original Netflix shows. You know, like what would be up there? Stranger Things. Maybe Ozark would be above Money Heist. Maybe, actually. I don't even know. Money Heist might be better than Ozark. I don't know. That's a ranking for another time. But I'm not going to give you guys my rating right now in Season 5. But I will say last episode's the best. Every episode was good. The first one's maybe the weakest. But like I said, the characters were all really good. Love how they brought in all like the special forces guy. Gandia was a really cool character. I hate Gandia now. Gandia is like one of like the most like hated movie villains for me. Like for me personally, like just like the way what they do with that character and like who he kills and what he does to all these characters makes me hate him so much. So that's another good thing for the show to have that in there. But yeah, like I said, it's definitely something worth watching. Don't let the subtitles scare you. If you've seen the show, if you've seen season 5, please let me know what you thought of it. Tell me if you're hyped for December. I'm sure you are if you've seen it. And please make sure to like the video. Please make sure to subscribe. And see you guys next video.